Hello, beautiful friends. My name is Brittany. Welcome back or welcome to Rescues and Reads. It's time to go ahead and play the next round of the My Bad TBR game to see what I will be reading in the month of December. Before we got into the gameplay, I did want to quickly address a new kind of rule I've made. If you watched the November TBR, you will remember that when I pulled a Joker, the Joker acts as basically the sorry card in the original board game. And so I had to move one of my pawns back to start. In this instance, I drew a blue, so I had to move my blue pawn back to start, making all four of my blue pawns unable to move because there were no further blue pawns on the playing field. The issue I'm noticing with that is because I do not have the ability to select which color I move at any given time, it could be a very, very long time before blue actually has a chance to get back out onto the playing field, which means anytime I draw blue and am unable to move a blue, I would have to take a punishment, and that would just possibly have multiple punishments in one game, and I don't necessarily think I want to do that to myself. So what I've gone ahead and done is I have moved one of my blue pawns back out onto the playing field. I did have the rule where each color was allowed to have one pawn on the playing field at all times so as not to obstruct gameplay and to ensure gameplay could always continue. And so because of that, I am allowing blue to be back out on the playing field without having drawn a 1 or a 2 to get me out of start. However, if I do encounter another situation where I've drawn a Joker and a color where I only have one of those pawns out on the playing field and that color now has to be all in start, I have made the decision where I will go ahead and allow that to continue throughout the entirety of that round of play. And so if that leads to multiple punishments, so be it. But then at the start of the next round, I will go ahead and put one of those pawns back out. So using blue as an example again, if I get another Joker and I draw a blue and I have to move that poor little blue pawn back into start, I'll go ahead and keep all four of them in start unless I do have the ability to move one out onto the playing field. And if I don't, if they remain in start and I get multiple punishments for that, that is fine. But at the start of January's gameplay, I will once again go ahead and move one of my blue pawns out onto the playing field. But aside from that, we are picking up right where we left off in November. I'm going to be doing 6 draws as normal. That's going to be the standard number of draws that I do for any given month. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the game. We have a number 8. Let's see what color we will be moving. Okay, so we have green. I'm going to go ahead and move this guy forward 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Someone's TBR. So I basically have to read a book that is on someone else's TBR for the month of December. So the first draw was a number 8 and I drew green. So I moved forward 8 and I landed on the prompt to read a book from someone else's TBR. And for this, I'm going to go ahead and select Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This is actually the book club selection for the Bookworm Bitches group on Goodreads. And because it is a book club selection, I do know that it is on several people's TBR for the month. So I'm going to go ahead and cheat a little bit and select this book because it was already on my TBR for the month. From what I understand, the story follows Nora Stevens. She is a cutthroat literary agent, always doing whatever she can to get her clients the best bookish deals. And when her sister Libby asks for a much needed girls trip, the two decide to spend the month of August in Sunshine Falls, North Carolina, where they're supposed to just kind of relax and connect with each other. But throughout the trip, Nora keeps running into Charlie Lastra, who is a book editor back in the city. They've met multiple times. Nothing really ever comes of it. Every single time they meet, something seems to happen. It's never actually a meet cute. But then throughout the book, they're kind of thrown into these coincidental situations, like too many coincidental situations, and you're kind of following their relationship. And I believe, of course, a romance is going to bloom. It sounds super cute. I have read 2 other books by Emily Henry so far. I have read The People We Meet on Vacation and Beach Read, and I enjoyed them both. I really, really liked The People We Meet on Vacation. I love that both Beach Read and Book Lovers is going to focus heavily on bookish people. I like that Emily Henry is an author who loves to write about book lovers, as she, of course, is herself a book lover. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Emily Henry does within this story. And like I said, because it is a book club pick for the month of December, it's going to be on multiple people's TBR. And so that is what I'm selecting for this prompt. Okay, draw number 2. Okay, so we have a number 2, which means I'm going to be able to move one of my pawns out from start or move forward 2, depending on the color that I draw. Okay, so I can't actually move this guy out of start because this guy is right in front of the start. So I'm just going to move him forward 2, 1, 2, and that prompt is to continue a series. Next, I drew the number 2 and red. So I moved a pawn forward red 2 and landed on prompt to continue a series. And I think for this, I'm going to continue the True North series by Sarina Bowen. And I currently need to read book number 4, which is Bountiful. If you're not familiar with the True North series, it basically follows a different character every single time, but it is all kind of focused and centered around the Shipley family. The Shipley family runs and operates this apple orchard, and in the very first book you meet Griff Shipley, who is kind of now the reluctant head of the family after his father unexpectedly passes away. So he is running this apple orchard. He is trying to create award-winning cider and just take care of his family. He has several brothers and sisters and a mother and a grandfather, and of course several workers on the farm that help him. And so in the first book it's about him and his relationship, and then in the other books you're following different people as they are establishing relationships. I believe in the fourth book you're following Zara, who is a local bar owner, and Zara has of course a connection to the Shipley family. I believe she was once with Griff, or at least had feelings for Griff. And so in Bountiful you're following her own love story. So I'm really looking forward to this. This has been a series that I've enjoyed for the most part. I think they're pretty solid romances, and so I definitely want to continue and keep the momentum going. I read book 3 several weeks ago, and so I'm glad that I'm able to continue with the fourth book so soon after reading book number 3. All right, draw number 3. All right, so for this one, I can move forward 10 or backwards 1, depending on the prompt situation. So let's see which pawn I will be moving. Okay, so I only have one yellow guy out there, so I can move forward 10 or backwards 1. So let me turn the board and we'll see what we get. All right, so if I move backwards 1, that's going to be an emoji. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is to read a book with name, number, or place in the title. That one sounds interesting, so let's go ahead and do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So read a book with name, number, or place in the title. Then I drew a 10 in yellow, and so I moved forward 10 and I landed on the prompt to read a book with either a name, a number, or a place in the title. And so for that, I'm going to go with Nevermoor by Jessica Townsend. So I am part of a monthly Facebook gifting group, and this is the book that was sent to me for the month of November. This is a middle grade series that I've heard is compared to Harry Potter, not in terms of the plot, but the feelings that it gives you in terms of like the nostalgia that you feel. There's a lot of magical elements to it. I believe there's also a magical school setting, and so that really caught my attention. And even though I'm not a middle grade reader, I wanted to go ahead and give this a shot. And if I am not mistaken, Nevermoor is the main setting of this book, so that would be a place, and so that is how this is satisfying this prompt. Let me go ahead and read a little bit about what it is, because I don't have a full grasp of the plot. So it says, Morgan Crow is cursed. Born on Eventide, the unluckiest day for any child to be born, Morgan is blamed for all local misfortunes, from hailstorms to heart attacks, and worst of all, the curse dooms her to die at midnight on her 11th birthday. But as Morgan waits her fate, a strange and remarkable man named Jupiter North appears. Chased by black smoke hounds and shadowy hunters on horseback, he whisks her away into the safety of a secret magical city called Nevermoor. It's in Nevermoor that Morgan discovers Jupiter has chosen her to contend for a place in the city's most prestigious organization, the Wondrous Society. In order to join and to stay in the safety of Nevermoor for good, Morgan must compete in 4 difficult and dangerous trials against hundreds of other children, or she'll have to leave the city to confront her deadly fate. Perfect. So this definitely has a magical school setting. It's got some trials, which you love. So it kind of got like a Hunger Games / Harry Potter vibe going, although I don't necessarily think they're fighting to the death in this book. But if Morgan doesn't win, she'll definitely have to go back to face the fate of being killed. I mean, that's high stakes, right? So I'm looking forward to getting into this and seeing how I feel about the story. I'm hoping that I really love and enjoy it, and I want to continue. I would love to find some middle grade that I don't actually mind reading. All right, draw number 4. All right, so I can move one of my red pawns 6. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where my husband picks a book, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where I read a book with red on the cover. Considering this is the holiday season, and I'm sure I have a lot of books with red on the cover, we're going to go ahead and do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next, I drew a number 6 and red, and so I moved forward 6 and I landed on the prompt to read a book with red on the cover. So for this, I'm going to read Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. There is some red up here and some red within the presents. So this is the only holiday-related book that I'm officially putting on my TBR, and here's why. I will be doing a Try a Chapter series throughout Bookmas, where over 3 videos, I try the first chapter or 2 of holiday-related books in order to see what I may want to read in the month of December. So I'm probably going to be adding more to my TBR unofficially over the month of December. before. And that's why I didn't want to include any here because I haven't done those try chapters yet. So I don't really know what I want to read. And I didn't want to wait to film this until I had done that. This is one that I had originally picked up for one of those try a chapter vlogs. However, this is going to be another book club selection. And so I jumped at the opportunity to go ahead and fit it into my TBR game. This would be the second book that I've read by Tessa Bailey. And from what I understand, this follows our main character Stella. And one day she is out on Fifth Avenue shopping and she stops at this window display. And suddenly this charming, handsome man comes up to her and asks what she thinks of the display. And she gives her harsh, honest opinion. And the man asks if she has a better idea. And so she gives it to him. She doesn't know that this man actually owns the department store. And so her opinion of the window display and actually ends up finding her working for this man. So she's working throughout the holiday season, dressing windows for him. And there's an undeniable temptation between the two that they are trying to fight. So this is actually very small. So I have a feeling that this is just going to be a quick, fun holiday romance, and I'm down for it. I want to give Tessa Bailey another try. I read It Happened One Summer and really enjoyed that and plan on finishing the duology next year. So I want to see what her holiday romances might look like.
All right, draw number 5. We are going up to 6 draws. I don't think I mentioned that at the beginning of this video, but 6 is going to be the standard number of draws I attempt to do every single game. And I just now realized that after I drew the 2, I was supposed to draw again for that. So I actually need to do 7 draws, not 6. So we've done 4. So we have 3 more. All right, yellow is getting a lot of play today. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ooh, that was really close, y'all. I was going to have to bump one of the red ones off the board if yellow landed there. But his prompt was to read a thriller or mystery, which is a big can do because that is my favorite genre. So I'm not mad about that.
Then I drew a 9 in yellow. So I moved forward 9 and landed on the prompt to read a mystery thriller. And so for that, I'm selecting Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney, which is one of the most recent Book of the Month selections that I've made. So the cover of this and the overall synopsis is giving me the guest list vibes by Lucy Foley, which I didn't love, but I'm going to trust Alice Feeney and see if I enjoy this one just a little bit more. So the main character of this is obviously Daisy Darker, and she has been avoiding her family for quite a while, but they're all converging on this tiny tidal island where her Nana lives, and they're all going there for Nana's 80th birthday party. But during this time, Nana actually ends up dead. And then during this time, a storm rages. They are actually trapped on the island because when high tide comes, it kind of floods the roadway and nobody's able to leave. So they're basically all stuck on this island with somebody who could potentially be a killer. So this definitely feels like it's going to be Alice Feeney's take on the "and then there were none" trope, and I'm here for it. I'm here to see what she's able to do. I assume that Nana's not the only one meeting that similar fate throughout this story, so I'm here for it. I love isolation stories like this, so I'm excited to see what she does and where she takes this.
Okay, so I believe this is draw number 6, which is the penultimate draw. Drew 9 again, so let's see which color this time. All right, let's see what blue gets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Most recent purchase, or this could also be most recent acquisition. And y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I've probably brought in at least 50 books in the past month. So there's going to be no shortage of books to choose from. I have no idea which is the most recent, but we're gonna just pick one of the books that I purchased in the month of November. I have plenty to choose from.
All right, my next draw was another number 9, and this time blue. And so I landed on the prompt to read my most recent acquisition. And for this, I'm so excited because I'm finally going to be reading Finlay Donovan is Killing It by El Cosimano. So this was never a book that was on my radar, but it has been making the rounds on BookTube and everybody seems to love it, and it sounds like just such a fun time. So Finlay Donovan is a single mother of 2. She's very stressed out. She is a struggling novelist. The book that she's promised her editor is just not happening, is not coming along. She's having problems with her ex-husband, and things are just going wrong in Finlay's life. One afternoon, she is discussing the plot of her newest suspense novel with her agent, and she's actually overheard by a woman who mistakes Finlay Donovan for a contract killer. She thinks Finlay Donovan actually does this for a living. And so she approaches Finlay with a proposition that she will be paid handsomely if Finlay takes out her husband. And so, of course, Finlay is totally unprepared for this. She kind of unwittingly becomes in the plot to take out this woman's husband so she can make ends meet. And it's kind of like the shenanigans that ensue while all of this is happening, as Finlay Donovan kind of realizes that crime in real life is not as easy as perhaps it seems in the novels. This sounds hilarious. It sounds like it's going to be a fun time, a fast time, and I'm here for it. Like I said, I've heard nothing but fantastic things about this. I do have the sequel. It came in the same order as this. I purchased them both on Book Outlet, and so I really do want to see if I enjoy the story and want to continue because it just sounds like it's going to be fantastic.
All right, and now the very last draw. All right, we've got a 4, so that means one of my pawns is going to have to move backwards 4. All right, well, I only have one green guy out there, so he's gonna have to move backwards 4. Let's see what he gets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Book box. All right, that just means that I have to read a book that was sent to me in one of my bookish subscription services.
All right, and then my last draw was a number 4 and green. I moved backwards 4 and I landed on the prompt to read a book box pick. Okay, so for this, I haven't actually made a firm decision on what I'm going to read. So I am subscribed to Illumicrate's Afterlight subscription, which is a quarterly romance subscription service from Illumicrate. Their monthly boxes are typically sci-fi and fantasy, and now they have a quarterly subscription, which is soon going to be a bi-monthly subscription for romance readers. That box is currently on its way to me, and I don't know what's in it. And so it's possible that once I get it, I will want to add it to my TBR, especially since this is a box where you don't get to select what you're sent. And typically when I receive those books, I want to read them as soon as possible, so they're not just sitting on my TBR and I don't know if I'm ever going to want to read them. So that's a possibility. Another possibility is a recent book subscription service that I'm trying. It's called Authentic Books. I actually plan on doing an unboxing of that on my channel when I receive my first box. I'm actually expecting 2 boxes in December. The first is the November monthly, and then there's actually a December special edition of the box that I'm going to be getting. And currently I'm leaning towards November's book, which was The Rewind by Alison Winscotch. After looking on Goodreads, it looks like this book now has a 3.42 rating, which makes me very, very nervous, but it just sounds so great and perfect for this time of year. So it says, 2 exes wake up together with wedding bands on their fingers and no idea how they got there. They have just one New Year's Eve at the end of 1999 to figure it out in this big-hearted and nostalgic rom-com from New York Times bestselling author Alison Winscotch. So it's about 2 college sweethearts, Frankie and Ezra, who broke up before graduation. And it was not a great breakup. It was very unfriendly. They kind of vowed never to speak to each other again, but now it's 1999 and they found themselves back on their New England campus for the wedding of a mutual friend. They're trying to avoid each other, but then the next morning they wake up in bed together and they have wedding bands on their fingers. They have no idea what happened or how they ended up in this situation. And that just sounds like it's going to be charming and fun. It's taking place on New Year's. It's perfect read for this time of year. And so I'm excited to get into it. I'm really hoping that the low ratings are wrong. I recently read a lot of books that were listed as the lowest rated on my TBR, but I found those ratings to be pretty unjust in my opinion. So I'm hoping that's the case with this one. I have really high hopes, so we're gonna see. All right, y'all, that is it. Those are currently all of the books that I have on my official December TBR. Like I said, I will likely be adding more holiday books throughout the month as I'm able to, especially if there are like gaps between when books are available for my library to read and so on. So we'll see what I end up reading in December. I definitely hope that I'm not just reading these 7 books, that I'm able to fit in more holiday reads, as I definitely have a bunch of them that I've stored up. So we'll see. Please let me know if you have read any of these books and what your thoughts are. Please also let me know what you plan on reading in December. I would love to know. And as always, if you like this video or if you just like me, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, because I would sure love to see you in my next video. Bye, guys.
It's cold outside, but the fire keeps us warm. We can spend the night underneath the mistletoe, and I've gotten you a present.